Hey everyone, this is Matt with the Financial Foundation, and today on Money Made Simple, we are going to talk about credit cards. So, as you've seen some of my other videos, we kind of go through budgeting, getting out of debt, managing and say emergency savings, and then getting your credit score up. So, after you've done all that, it's the really we were going to now dive into the fundamental understandings of credit cards, using credit cards strategically, building wealth with credit, rebuilding and managing credit, and then kind of go into some mindset and empowerment um, Q&A. So without further ado, if you get any value from this video, please hit that subscribe button, comment below what you've learned and what you've taken away. And also, I have a bunch of free resources in my link in bio. Feel free to check those out and use them at your will. All right, let's get into it. So, in this section, the foundational understanding, let's dive right in. What's the real purpose of credit and why do so many people get it wrong? So, this is a fantastic way to start this off. And I'm going to blame a lack of education. So, most people get a letter from a credit card company like the day they turn 18. It's in the mail, they're pre-qualified, and no one's really taught you how to use it. And when you're that young, you see all your parents do it, all these other adults do it, and they're just swiping credit cards, and it's natural to be like, oh, as you turn 18, this is a rite of passage. You get a credit card. The sad thing is most people don't use it the right way. They use it to buy things that don't produce any money. They use it to buy luxuries and things that they want, not necessarily things that they need. And they don't have that good financial foundation to have their budget, have a savings account, and use credit responsibly. So that's why a lot of people get it wrong. But credit can be an amazing tool when you know how to use it. So that's what we're going to kind of get into how it can be a great tool. So for those of you who don't know my backstory, um, I had terrible credit from about 18 to 24. Like I botched my credit and I didn't realize the how long it would take to really get back. But once I had my budget, once I got my act together and was like, I want a home, I want to run a business, I want to be able to provide for my family. That's what I want. And I want the peace of mind. It's hard having bad credit. It's hard living paycheck to paycheck. So I was tired of living that way. And so I've learned how to now utilize credit as a tool. And with this tool, I was able to get to travel for free. I was able to get free hotels, free flights. I was able to get 12 to 18 months, 0% interest on a balance transfer or on money to start up a business. So those are things we want to talk about, and I will help you talk about in this thing. What's the difference between using credit for survival versus strategy? That's goes right into it. Using credit for survival means more so that you're going to get into debt with that credit card, right? You're you're going to start to you're not going to be able to pay that back because there's interest that's on that credit card, and you'll be in that cycle for years and years and years. And it just becomes a constant cycle of, hey, I pay a little bit off. Oh, something bad happens. Let me put it back on the credit card. And your credit card is always maxed out. And you're paying thousands of dollars in interest that you don't necessarily need to pay. Whereas when you have a strategy and you know how to use it and you start using it daily and mindfully, you start accumulating either cash back or you start accumulating points or you plan it out to where, hey, I'm getting this 0% APR card for 12 months, 15 months, 18 months, 21 months, and you have a plan for that money, whether that is to pay off high interest debt and you know you can make the payments throughout that time, or maybe you're using it to start a business. So those are the difference between using it as survival and as strategy. So let's talk more about how to strategically use credit cards. How do you actually benefit from using a credit card instead of getting hurt by it? So once you're once you got the process of knowing how to use money responsibly and how to use credit responsibly, the biggest thing is knowing that you have to pay it back, right? So my number one rule of thumb is if you're going to use a credit card, you have to have the money in your checking account to pay off that credit card statement balance in full every month. That's a non-negotiable. So when you're starting to use credit cards strategically and you start using them as everyday things, different cards do different things. So, for example, I like to eat out. My family likes to eat out. It's a lot of fun. So I have a card that gives me points, more points for dining out. I have another card that gives me more points for ad spend. I have another card when I had a gas car that gave me points for gas. I utilize airline cards to get companion passes so my wife can fly for free. And then when my companion pass goes up, she gets that credit card so she can get a companion pass. So it's all a game and it takes a little bit of learning the system. And that's a little deeper conversation, but I'll tell you my favorite travel partners and credit cards at the end of the video. So, but those are some of the ways you can start using them to get benefits from using a credit card. What does it mean to pay your balance in full, and why is it so important? So, my number one rule with credit cards, you have to pay the balance off in full every month, your statement balance. If you can't do that, you should not be using the credit card because it could lead to debt and paying interest. Once you start paying interest, it doesn't matter the credit card you have, how great the points are. If you're paying interest on it, it negates the points. It's too much money. They're going to win. So credit cards tend to have some of the highest APR out there. You could be paying upwards of 27% interest on some credit cards. So another thing is paying your balance down helps your credit score with your utilization. And that's in another video that I have, and I'll link it up here. And so you guys can check that out. But keeping your utilization score down allows you more opportunities to get loans, other lines of credit, things like that. So it shows that you're being responsible with your money to like other lenders. Okay. Can someone with average income still benefit from credit card rewards? Absolutely. So anybody can benefit from using a rewards credit card. It doesn't matter how much you get paid every year. That has nothing to do. I will say two things. One is make sure when you get a rewards credit card, there's typically a bonus offer that you need to get to hit that. Those are very lucrative if you can hit them. So what I do recommend is and they're typically 1,000 to some business cards have $15,000 in spend. I think the average for some of the good ones are around $5,000 to $6,000 that you need to spend in the first 3 months to get their bonus. That being said, I don't encourage you to go out and be like, cool, I got this cool card. I need to spend $5,000. That's not what I'm saying. I always like to plan it when I do have a pretty large expense, like maybe I need to buy a new appliance, maybe I need a water heater, a fridge, or we just have some larger expense coming up, then I will go and see what offers are out there and pick the one that I think I can work with. So that's step one, depending on your income. And I'm not telling you to just get into debt. I would never do that, just to get a sign up bonus. So plan it and do that with what you will. Um, the other thing I was going to say was that make sure you find a points card that you resonate with. So, like if you enjoy dining out, get something that you're actually going to use that you can spend and feel good about it and kind of forget about that. Oh, I need to use this one for eating, this one for that, this one for that. There's a lot of cards out there that do 1.5% on everything, and those are good general cards to have. Okay. All right, let's move on. What's the difference between booking travel with your card versus transferring points to partners? Excellent question. All right. So now we're getting kind of into the nitty-gritty of points. So my favorite points system is with Chase. I love their Ultimate Rewards system. That being said, and I love their transfer partners. The thing with any credit card that you're using to book travel, if you're using their online portal like Chase's Ultimate Rewards portal, you're using the Amex rewards on their portal, Capital One on their rewards portal, you typically are not getting the best bang for your point. Okay. Now, the best way I've found to use points is to transfer to partners. So, the Ultimate Rewards program, for me, I do a lot of domestic flying, I do a lot of trade shows. So, I love Southwest. So, I also have a companion pass for Southwest. And so it works really well. So, my wife can fly for free, and I use the points to book our flights. Um, so when you transfer to the actual partner, there's two things that can happen. One, the point redemption for a ticket or for a hotel stay is much less than booking through the online portal. So, like with Chase Ultimate Rewards, I also love staying at Hyatt properties. So, when we look at the Chase portal versus the Hyatt portal, Chase may be 25, 30,000 points for the same hotel, where the Hyatt property may be 18 to 20,000 points. So I like doing transfers. There's also a lot of airlines and hotels throughout the year that will do point bonuses. So they may do a 40% increase. So instead of your points being 1 to 1, it may be 1 to 1.45 or 1.5, depending on what deal they're running. So you can get more points through that partner. So always look for a credit card that has transfer partners that you like and use. Okay. I prefer using the Chase Sapphire preferred card. It's my go-to. You can find a good offer in the link in my bio. That is my hands down everyday spender. And I like that because I have options. Can go to many different airlines. I can go to many different hotels. And for my needs, that suits me. It also gives me 3 points for dining out, which I love. Okay. So now as we're getting into it, let's talk about more of the building wealth with credit. Okay. So how can credit help you fund a side hustle or a small business idea? So there's a lot of amazing business cards out there that offer 12 months, 0% APR. And when starting a business, capital is key. You need money for product, you need money for advertising, you need money for research, you need product for testing. If you're shipping a product for shipping supplies and labels and all that. If you need to hire people. And so your business line of credit or business credit can really help jumpstart your business from going from point A to point B, C, D, all the way down. So I love using business credit for starting a side hustle or a small little business. And they also give you, there's a lot of good points when using a business card too. So, what types of purchases or investments should you never use credit for? So this is a loaded question. So really, I use credit cards for everything. I don't use a debit card. I just don't. I use credit cards for everything. So I personally think you should be able to spend credit cards however on anything for anything. So this to me is like I would use it for everything. That being said, if you're going to make an investment and pull out money to put it on real estate or um, crypto or stock market or into somebody else's business to loan them money, I would make sure that I was very well versed in what I was investing in, that I had a plan A, B, C, D to recoup my money before I needed to, before the APR or the interest rate kicked in. And I was then up shit creek for that matter. So with investments, I'd rather see people use their line of credit or their credit card to start a side hustle and a business and invest in themselves. And before you start making those riskier investments with a credit card, understand those investments and actually have dabbled in them multiple times without using a credit first, without using a credit card first. Okay. How can credit help someone get started in real estate or investing? So that kind of goes back to what I was saying. Like there are 0% APR credit cards that you can do. Um, that being said, most real estate transactions, they're not going to accept a credit card as payment. They want wires. Generally, the dollar amounts too large. And most investing companies are not going to take credit either. So they want you to put money into an account to where you can invest. I think right now the only investment company that will allow you to do that is in the crypto market where you can do that, but I believe it's still counts as like a cash advance. So I don't necessarily recommend doing that type of investing with it. As I said earlier, if you're, I'd rather see you take a business credit card and apply it towards a side hustle and or small business that you're starting where you can do transactions on the credit card for business purposes, not necessarily for investment purposes. The cash flow that the business brings in, you can then go ahead and invest into real estate, stocks, crypto, what have you. So moving on, let's go into rebuilding and managing credit. So for me, what were the first three things you did to rebuild your credit from a low score? So rebuilding of credit was painful, but necessary. And I'm so glad I went through all these steps. So the first thing I did was list out all my debts, the AP or the interest I was being charged, minimum payments for everything. And I was like, what can I get rid of anything today? And if I could, I tried to make payments towards the smallest one. I did this debt snowball method. So I was not worried about the interest rate. I was just worried about the smallest balance first. And I attacked the smallest one first. For some of the larger ones, I actually did get a debt consolidation service that helped. That was really incredible because I was getting phone calls from collection agencies and every it seemed like it was like every hour I'd get a phone call from a different agency trying to get me to pay, and it was so demotivating and it was terrible. So the second I signed with these guys, they got all those phone calls and the phone calls stopped for me. The third thing I did was I couldn't get a secured credit card, but I was able to get a special credit card from I think it was like Credit One or something. It was crazy. I had to pay like a monthly fee for it, plus give them money, and I had maybe a $300 credit line. But the thing with this card was they reported to the credit bureaus every month, all three credit bureaus. So I got to slowly rebuild and rebuild and rebuild. Um, as things came off my credit report and got things paid, my credit score started going up. And as I kept on making consistent payments to that card, I was able to get a real secured card that I didn't have to pay for. And sorry, I didn't have to pay a monthly fee for. I still had to put a deposit down. And on that one, I was able to save up $1,000 and put $1,000 on that. And so, yeah, first step, list your debts, open up all the bills, line them up. I personally like the debt snowball method just because it's gives you more motivation once you start checking off some of those smaller wins and allows you to keep going. Number two, if you need to, debt consolidation. Number three, just make your payments on time. Like once you get a new credit card, you got to make those payments on time. And as I said before, pay in full. Okay. How can someone safely start using credit again after financial mistakes? So your mistakes don't have to own you. You don't have to, the person that made those mistakes is not who you are today. You're taking the steps right now by watching a video like this. I'm sure you're watching countless others to learn how to manage your money. So the fact that you're here, don't worry about that person. You're learning so much more now, and it's okay to use it again. It's okay to use credit again as long as you follow the rules. Make sure you have money in your checking account. If you can't pay your credit statement in full, you have no business using that credit card. Then put the credit card aside for the time being. Get your emergency fund set, get your budget right, work on those steps. Those are easy steps that you don't need to worry about. And then once you have a solid foundation there, then you can start opening up and doing the credit card thing again responsibly. All right. But don't be afraid of who you were a few years back. You're new you, and now you're getting educated. What red flags should people watch for so they don't fall back into debt? Getting complacent, not reviewing your finances and being afraid or just not wanting to review or talk about them. And you give it so much extra power than what it needs. It's like, hey, it's pretty simple. You have your spreadsheet, you have your app, whatever you're using, and you're tracking everything. You're tracking what you're spending. At the end of the day, it falls onto you. You're the one that needs to be responsible for it. And if you're not responsible for it, then who is? You can't blame anybody else. So I recommend at the end of every month, you review your finances, you put everything into a spreadsheet, see where you're at the end of the month. And, there's going to be some months maybe you mess up. Okay. But if at least you're reviewing it and you say, hey, I messed up on that one, or this month I spent a little bit too much on my credit card and I had to dip into savings to pay that off. Next month, you know what not to do. But training your brain to think like that, instead of getting complacent. So let's get into some mindset and empowerment. What do you think? Yeah, excuse me. Why do you think credit gets such a bad reputation, and how can we change that? So let me rephrase that. Credit cards, not credit. With credit cards, they get a bad rep because a lot of people aren't educated when they first get them and they get into crazy debt. And that debt takes them years to pay off and it leaves a terrible taste in their mouth. So, how can we change that? Is by educating people as young as possible, well before they touch a credit card or get a credit card application, learning about basic financial skills, teaching our children or their younger generation about budgeting and financial management. That way, when this tool comes along, people know how to use it responsibly instead of ending up in a money pit that feels like a ball and chain for too long. So keep staying educated. What's your advice for someone who's scared of credit cards but wants to start building wealth? So this is an interesting question because you don't necessarily need credit cards to build wealth. What you do need is, I, for me, having good credit helps. And not just in the ways you think, but I mean, to have good credit and to manage your credit cards takes discipline and it takes commitment to understanding your finances, where you are. And those open up opportunities. When you're good with your money and you're responsible with your credit, um, you should feel more confident in just being having access to this type of money. But if you are scared of them, that's fine. The whole point is to find a system that works for you. If credit cards are not your thing, that's okay. Then this video may not be for you, but you've stuck around for a long time. But if you took some time to learn, there are a lot of benefits to credit cards that may ease you. One is if someone gets into your debit card and takes money out of your checking account, it's much harder for you to get that money back. With a credit card, if you notice an unauthorized purchase, you call the credit card up. I didn't make that purchase. Money's back on your credit card. Your cash is fine. The points are great when you know how to use them. Now, that took me a few years to really master and get a good hand on it. So when you start to master that and your vacations now are free, like you're able to go to Hawaii, your flight is free, your hotel is free, and all you're spending on is food, and you're using that credit card I was telling you about to get 3 points per dollar spent on all your food that you're having there. That cuts like, your vacation by 2/3. Like if you count flight, hotel, food, and maybe some excursions, but the two biggest things are always hotel and flight. So when you use them correctly, you do it, or you just get a cash back one. You can keep it simple. Yeah. Apple has a great cash back card. B of A has a great cash back card. So anyway, if this video was helpful, please again smash that like button. Comment below what your favorite credit card is. And again, I do have in the link in my bio links to two of my favorite credit cards. One is the Chase Sapphire. There's a really good sign up bonus. And also, if you are a rent payer, I have a great referral link to the Built Rewards credit card, and you can actually earn points on your rent. So, as for now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will see you guys on the next one.